And thank you, Ms. Lake, for joining us today. I'm deeply concerned that what the Trump administration is doing to VOA and all of the independent broadcast networks is harming the United States and serving our adversaries. It seems like everyone is sort of saying the same thing, even though they're using different examples. So, Ms. Lake, this is an easy question. Is it your goal to advance U.S. interests or the interests of our adversaries?
We want to make sure we are advancing U.S. interests.
Great, thank you. And earlier, because I too have been here, a question was asked of you about Russia invading Ukraine and if Russia was an adversary. And you answered that question, but I would like it if you could just answer it again. Do you believe that Russia is one of our adversaries?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I do too. So when Trump decided to gut USAGM, the head of Russia Today, the Kremlin state-controlled news broadcaster, actually said, quote, "Today is a holiday for me and my colleagues at RT and Sputnik. This is an awesome decision by Trump." So, Ms. Lake, why do you think the head of Russia Today would say this is an awesome decision by Trump?
I'm really disturbed that we were spreading Russian propaganda and hiring Russian spies at Voice of America. Have you ever thought about that?
Well, allegedly, there is a Russian operative in the White House Office of Personnel, but you're not asking me questions, I'm asking you questions. The question is, why do you think the head of Russia Today would say this is an awesome decision by Trump?
I don't know.
Okay, well, I think,
have you talked to
but at least you're honest when you say you don't know. I think that the answer is obvious, and that crippling Voice of America actually allows Russia Today to spread propaganda without any opposition. And in fact, the PRC had a similar response. And in earlier lines of questioning, people suggested that the CCP was running VOA. You sort of inferred that
they have more control over VOA.
Beijing was running the VOA, had people in there. So the Global Times, a Chinese state media outlet that spread CCP talking points, also celebrated your actions and called VOA, quote, a lie factory, pointing to their reports on human rights abuses in Xinjiang. And the Global Times also called VOA, quote, thoroughly biased propaganda poison. I feel like I have also heard that phrase used by members from across the aisle, my colleagues. And that line also could have been pulled right out of your opening statement. So, Ms. Lake, do you think that VOA's reporting on China's genocide against the Uyghurs is a lie?
You know, there's been some good reporting at VOA. I'm not saying all of it has been bad, but any time we're doing Chinese propaganda, when VOA decided to do a 2-minute Chinese propaganda video and produce it, I got a problem with that. And I have a feeling that the men and women across this country do
something that many of our allies also care about. And we know China's position on the Uyghurs. And so I think it's important that we report on that, and we do so in a true and factual basis. And I also think it's important to say that if you are dismantling, if you are crippling, even if you're arbitrarily shrinking without a plan, because we've heard you answer questions, but we have not been shared any kind of plan, that dismantling an agency that counters PRC propaganda and allowing it to go unchecked is something we should be talking about. Well, if we're not here, then we
propaganda
can't
from the
counter
CCP.
it. If we're not here, then we cannot counter it. And I know you have talked about what just happened with Iran, how everybody got put on administrative leave, and then the strikes happened, and then you asked people to come back because I guess somebody had a WTF moment. But then right after that, there was a reduction in force, which you just alluded to permanently eradicate many of their jobs. And so I am just saying that we have to have folks in place to respond to crises, immediate, emergent, on the horizon, and we can't do it with only 2 people in an office using a smartphone, waiting to get direction from a security advisor who hasn't even been confirmed or brought up for confirmation from the Senate. And with that,